All right, now it's Otis Sanford's turn. He's with a commercial appeal. Otis.
Thank you. Mayor Corker, you were quoted today in the Chattanooga Times Free Press raising some alarms about the Ford political family going statewide if Congressman Ford is elected. And matter of fact, your specific quote was, "I think it's something that probably concerns a lot of Democrats around the state as they observe the Ford political machine and look at the activities that take place." I ask you tonight, sir, what did you mean by that, and can you elaborate on why that's an issue in this race?
Well, I think that it's evident there's been a Ford in this seat for 32 years, and if you look at the number of Fords that are on the ballot, especially I think the most recent one probably concerns, I know it concerns a lot of people right here in Memphis, and that is that we had a Ford running for Congress on the Democratic primary ticket, and they lost. And so now there's a Ford on the independent ticket just to ensure that a Ford is in this seat. I think that's something that's unusual. It doesn't take place in most cities around the state of Tennessee, and that's the only thing I'm trying to say. It's something that has been written about for over a decade right here in Shelby County and across the state, and yeah, I think it's worthy of bringing up.
I don't know why Mr. Corker keeps mentioning my family. Let me be clear, I love him. And there's nothing you can say, Mr. Corker, that will bring any distance between my family and I, just like I know there's nothing I can say to you that will bring any distance between your lovely family and you. It's you and I running for the Senate. It's our ideas, our plans to make the future better for everybody. Let's stick to you and I. And if you come up with a recipe to pick family, send it to me. Otherwise, be quiet and let's run for the Senate.
Mayor Corker?
Well, I don't think I've ever said anything at all disparaging about your family. I'm making reference to public...
Are you praising my family because of our role in politics here?
We've got to give Mayor his
I'm sorry.
30 seconds.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that I've ever said anything disparaging about your family. I'm making an observation that it's pretty much a family business, and I think that it's something that all of us see and know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and if that offends you, that I bring up the fact that there are a lot of people who run for public office, and there is sort of a machine-type politics that takes place. I don't understand why that would even offend you.
There's too much joy in my heart to respond to that. I'm going to let it go.
Very good. Well, we'll move on now to Halima Abdullah, who is a political reporter with a commercial appeal for her question. Halima.
Okay. Congressman Ford, during this campaign season, you've said, quote, "You have to protect people's choice." And you've also said, quote, "I believe life is the best choice and that it should be the goal of policymakers to reduce abortions." Some voters have criticized such responses as deliberately vague. Would you please clearly state your position on abortion?
We got to reduce the number of abortions in this country. For so long, we've had a long discussion and debate about life or choice. Republicans sometimes think they have a higher ground than Democrats. But if you think about it, 17 of the last 23 justices appointed to the court, they were appointed by Republicans, Ms. Abdullah. So if we wanted to overturn it, they should have just overturned it. When you look at the Roe v. Wade decision, that's the source of so much consternation in this country. 5 of the people that did it, that came out on the wrong side in the minds of a lot of people who are pro-life, were appointed by Republican jurists. My colleague is here tonight, Lincoln Davis. He has a bill in the Congress that promotes abstinence, adoption tax credits, greater health care for women, and greater planning for families. He and I also are supporters of the character education bill in the Congress, which will reinforce what people are learning at home, right between wrong, and if they're not learning at home, we'll teach them in school. Let's get down to the business of reducing the number as opposed to volleying back and forth and yelling back and forth at one another. That's my position, and that's where my votes have been in the Congress.
Mayor Corker, would you please respond?
Yes, ma'am. I am solidly pro-life. I've been endorsed by the National Right to Life. Congressman Ford and I are different on this issue. I think even those people, and by the way, good people can disagree on these issues, and I understand it's one of those issues that really causes people a lot of concern. But Congressman Ford has voted 4 times against banning partial birth abortions, and I think that's an extreme view, if you will. That's not a middle-of-the-road view to try to work with people. And, you know, if he's so concerned about women having health care, I wish he'd join me in proposing tort reform. We have 91 non-urban counties in the state, and because of the policies that he promotes, there's 40% less OBGYN services, and I'd love for him to respond to that.
Congressman Ford, you do get 30 seconds.
Two things. Mr. Corker, you could understand the first 4 times I was in Congress from 96, really 3 times, I think, 96 to 98. And I had a doctor here have a conversation with me to change my mind on it. And I admit, I've grown in Congress. You should understand, because you flip-flopped on abortion also. You were for it before you ran the last time for Senate, now you're against it. And I accept your position. But don't go around judging me and judging others. People learn and grow. And frankly, we ought to be interested in reducing the number. I'm a supporter of tort reform in the Congress. My record shows it. Matter of fact, I'm the only one here who's actually ever voted for tort reform in the Congress, Mr. Corker, because I've been there, sir.
All right, Claudia Barr starts us off now with a question for the audience.
Thank you, Richard. We have with us now Lori Walton, and she's going to direct her question first to Mayor Corker.
Good evening, gentlemen. What programs would you implement to encourage high school graduates to attend college despite rising tuition costs?
That is to you, Mr. Corker.
Well, it is incredibly expensive to go to college now. I'm facing that right now as a daughter who just went to school this year. And I think we need to do everything we can to create opportunities for people who cannot afford to go to college. I'm thrilled that in our state we've been able to make some opportunities available to people. We really need for young people to understand the challenges of the future and especially focus on math and sciences, those kind of things that are truly going to create innovation here in America. But certainly student loans, opportunities where people maybe could go to college and possibly offer service down the road, those are the kind of things that we need to look at.
We differ on this one. My plan is very simple. If you graduate from high school, there are two things that will determine, really three, where you go to college. One, how hard you worked in high school. Two, how hard you're willing to work when you go to college. And three, if you're willing to give your country back national service. Your kids and me, we were blessed. We had parents that could pay for us to go to college. Your kids will benefit from that, and that's a wonderful thing. But not a lot of kids in this state. My plan is simple. If you sign a contract with your country that says you will join the National Guard, active duty, a disaster and relief corps, early childhood teachers corps, I can envision the creation of a number of service corps so we can train the best, allow them to give back to the country, and allow us to train the smartest entrepreneurs, the smartest scientists and engineers. China and India, when you take population into account, graduate 5 times as many engineers and scientists as we do. They even graduate more English-speaking engineers and scientists than we do. I hear it all around the state. We ought to pay for them to go to school. If we can pay for quarterbacks and basketball players, we ought to be able to pay for physicists and chemists and drama students and English students and mathematicians.
Mayor Corker, would you like to rebut that?
I wouldn't. I really didn't hear a lot of differences. What I would like to say is that I've worked heavily with educators in Chattanooga and know that the best that happens in education happens at the local level. And we need to think new ways about the way we educate people. We were able to put in place teacher incentives that really caused high-performing teachers to be in our low-performing schools. And it really made a huge difference in the lives of those individuals and actually caused them to be able to go to college because of the tremendous achievement that they put in place.
Thank you, sir.